Hello, and thank you for joining me today or whenever you're watching this for the Better Talk, Better Sex webinar. This is a presentation that I'm giving, and it's being recorded for you to watch at your leisure, also, so you can walk through the material and benefit from the concepts that are shared. I'm going to start sharing my screen at this time, and we'll go through the slides. We have some disclosures to go through. And from there, I'm going to get right into the material and really share some exciting concepts. My brothers, I thank you for being here. Thank you for watching the program. Thank you for letting me know how it impacts your life as well. Here we go with sharing the screen, and let's get started with the slideshow for today. So, as I mentioned, this is Better Talk, Better Sex, and we're talking about the power of communication and its impact on your marriage. Before we get into everything with the program today, I want to walk through a disclosure, and it's very necessary that I do that because I want to be very clear. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, but I'm not your therapist. Okay, so I want to be very clear about that everything shared is for educational purposes. This should not be considered individual therapy or personalized medicine, anything like that. Okay, so the information contained, this webinar, the website, courses, downloads, whatever products that you obtain from me, whether paid or free, it's educational, informational, and we assume no responsibility for errors or omissions in the contents of this website. Now, of course, we have a disclaimer here as well that is not intended and shall not be understood or construed as professional advice or should take the place of medical or therapeutic advice. And there are a number of pages of the disclaimer. I'm asking you to be responsible. And by you continuing with the I said webinar, by you continuing with the webinar, you are being a responsible person to go through here and make sure that you look at all of the information provided, right? This is no substitute for a professional clinician who is aware of the facts and circumstances of your individual situation, okay? So we did the best we could to provide the information, and you can read the rest there. But we will not be held liable or responsible for errors or omissions, and goes through that mutual non-disclosure. What we're basically saying there, and you want to read the document to its fullest to make sure you have all of it. But it's saying that in the process of sharing, if I learn things about you, I'm not going to voluntarily share the information about you. Well, I'm asking the same thing with regards to what I'm sharing with you today, that you would be mindful of what I'm sharing with you and that we mutually agree that, hey, you are not going to disclose this stuff. This information is being provided to you. And so other individuals who would need this should also access it properly through the proper channels, okay? And dispute resolution there. So basically, I'm asking you to read through the disclaimer so that we are all safe on your end, my end as well, okay? So today's content is designed to provide general education and tools that will help many couples find helpful, right? But every information, every relationship rather is unique. Take what serves you, and always what we say, prioritize your safety and well-being. Okay, so let me give you something about my background, my personal background. I have been in the military, in the Navy, served as a chaplain, a chaplain. That was later. But while I was in the Navy, I served as a yeoman and also an airman, aircraft carrier unit, aviation unit, that type of thing, and travel a lot of places there. A married man, children, three sons, I am been around, as you can tell, for more than a few days. Okay. I grew up primarily in Los Angeles, even though I wasn't born in Los Angeles, and grew up in the hood. If anybody understand what that's about, if you know Los Angeles, we were in the Watts area growing up. Okay. And then from those beginnings, with a mother who really worked hard with us, and after time in the military, and after experiences at work and stuff, I felt a yearning to get involved in therapy and went to school professionally at Cal State University to get my Master's of Science degree in marriage and family therapy. And then out of that, it has grown to, from my private practice as a therapist, to Dawson's Way coaching and consulting, where we do this as a family, have coaching and consulting services available, combining the best of all of these experiences, right? And included in there also my experience as a behavior analyst. Now, I'm not a board certified behavior analyst, but I served for a number of years the Southern California School District as a behavior analyst and have been taught and trained by some of the best you can find in the industry. All right. And bring that to the table as well. So you have what I'm about to present to you, a depth of information coming from my experience as a licensed marriage and family therapy, and on the journey through that in dealing with men with domestic violence background and women in those areas. Also with my Master's of Divinity journey, that MDiv, right? You see there, my journey there dealt with my years of pastoral training, being at Andrews University Seminary, and getting a Master's of Divinity degree there with good theological training and practical insight over the years. So I'm bringing to the table all of those things, plus spiritual leadership in churches, as well as prophetic insight, and my gifts of discernment and prayer and intercession. All of that is coming to the table to benefit you as you go through this webinar with me. And of course, as we talk later, it'll be such a blessing to me to connect those things that are in me in a way that where they support and help you in your growth and in your marriage. And it's because of that background, I have such a passion for marriage. I know how to mess a marriage up. Anybody can raise your hand with me? Yes. But we also need to know how to repair, how to rebuild, how to fix the damage that we cause. And that's what I want to share with you today. Okay, you still with me? So listen to this. Why does this matter to men in particularly? Because we have certain cultural pressures and expectations as men, right? Society really doesn't know what to do with us. They call us toxic masculinity kind of stuff going on. They call us aggressive when we're just trying to do our own things, man. They look at us in such a way that they put pressure on men to behave a certain way, or they consider us like animals running around and having no feelings and no thoughts about life. And then some of us have been neglected through the educational process in school and have not been given proper training. I know in my own experience, not growing up with a dad in the house, what is a man? What does a man smell like? And I remember even as a child being around a man, and I was like, wow, they smell sweaty. They don't smell like women. You know, women will have their hairspray and all of that. The men that we were around, they didn't have that. And I was like, wow. And I remember one brother in particular was smoking cigars. And that was an interesting smell as a kid, trying to figure out what men are. So we have a pressure from society that is put on us as men. And so as we go through this webinar, we're going to show ways to deal with that pressure on society. And then we want to deal with the issue. There's this myth that men ought to be strong but silent. You know, Clint Eastwood, John Wayne, who are some of the other stars that have gone on through years. They're strong, but they're silent, man. They never really open their heart up and grow a family on TV. And of course, they couldn't do it in a short hour and a half, right? But these heroes that are doing all this kind of stuff, and then you try to practice and live like that in your own life, not good, not good, not sharing what's going on. And so we find men dying early. They're not expressing their emotions. They're not taking good care of themselves. They're not talking about the pain in their lives. They haven't found a manly way to do it. You got it? So also it has been said that couples who communicate effectively about intimacy report 73% higher satisfaction rate. So communication is very, very powerful and necessary. So what are you going to learn? In this seminar, you're going to learn the number one, or you're going to learn one communication killer, the number one communication killer, rather, that destroys intimacy and marriage relationships. So we're going to give you number one. That killer, oh yeah, we're going to lay it out today. We're also going to share 3 powerful conversational techniques that you can use immediately starting, tonight or when this seminar is over, webinar is over from wherever you are watching it. You can use these techniques in the immediate future. And then we're going to give you a simple framework for talking about sex without awkwardness, right? And it is something we have not been taught as men, right? If you didn't have a dad to sit down with you and go over the birds and the bees, the flowers and the trees, right? If you didn't have that, where did you learn it? You learned the dirty on the street in the alley with Sally, right? All that kind of stuff going on, right? And so we're going to give you a simple framework of how to talk about sex without awkwardness. And then we're going to give you a personal action plan for the next 30 days. And then there's even more that I can share today. And at the end, I'm going to tell you about my gift to you. Yes, my gift to you for following all the way to the end. So let's get right into it. First, let's talk about this module number one. Module number one. Here we go. We're getting right into module number one and dealing with this connection. So science made simple. Your brain on connection or disconnection, right? So when you think about relationships, and I'm looking at a book here from Dr. Carolina Leaf. She's not endorsing my program or anything like that, but her material is so excited. I wanted to share with you some issues about the brain that is raised, because we have to think about communication. It is something that goes in action with or connected to what's happening inside of the head. So a thought may seem harmless, but if that thought is toxic, even as a thought, it can become physically, emotionally, or spiritually dangerous, right? So there we want to deal with what's in our head. Thoughts are measurable, right? They are active, they grow and change, and thoughts influence every decision, every word, and the physical reactions we make. So we can have a thought in our head, like think about this. I'm going to share something. Sexy woman. What does that thought do to you? The pictures that come up about it, the memories. Handsome man. Well, they use those things to sell perfume, right? Or cars or anything, gold, whatever, right? Because they know your brain is making a connection with the thought to something else, right? So if you have a toxic thought in your head, it can become harmful like poison. Rather, you got it? So let me go to the quote I want to give you here. Yes, here we go. So, what are toxic thoughts? And we'll get to the good stuff. They're thoughts that trigger negative and anxious emotions. So, if I have in my mind, in my brain, ways that I am viewing communication, ways that I hear communication, ways that I communicated in the past, my brain is already running in that loop, is stored in my mind as well as in the cells of my body. So when that thought hit, my body is going to be responding a certain way, right? And the truth is, every thought, whether it is positive or negative, goes through the same cycle Basically, electrical impulse, chemicals, neurons, and on and on and on. So let me get to this. I know you're saying, listen, we don't need all that intellectualism. I want you to get the basics so you know the connection here. So as you think, your thoughts are activated, which in turns activate your attitude, and your attitude, all your thoughts together, and then they reflect your state of mind, and the chemicals, secretions, reactions, all that kind of stuff impacts your body in a positive or negative way. So that's why in the Bible, we read where God gives us the choice. Hey, you choose between life and death. Choose between blessings and curses. The link starts in your thoughts. Your life is the accumulation of all of your thoughts, right? So let's get here and deal with it. So your brain has this stuff going on, right? And in communication with your wife. And then if you all have clashes over certain topics or certain issues that trigger you from the past or certain things that sound like your mama, sound like all this, you will disconnect from your wife no matter how she's approaching you. So we need to look at that and understand that some of the disconnection is coming from just what is going on the inside, those memories, those connections, those thoughts that may be toxic, meaning negative, that are rolling through the mind. And then they have images and attitudes connected to in discussion with your wife about something. And here comes the break. Okay. So that's why just talking more doesn't work because you are still stuck in that loop of that talking more and getting those same kind of reactions. You got it? Now, if that is true, that there's that negative loop at work and it's going, it's going, it's going, it's going, and you're getting those kind of reactions, well, guess what? What else is also true that you can have an intimacy communication loop going. So you get on a positive track and you're getting positive feedback and you're getting positive response and your body is responding a certain way. The chemicals, everything is connecting up. You can have a positive loop going on through communicating properly that will cause things to continue to get better and better and move in the right direction. Are you following that so far? I know, I can't hear you there. But as you're taking notes and looking at this, think about how that can be happening in your own relationship. So let's get to some of the cultural issues that we have to face. So there are some myths that kill our relationship, and especially in our community, man. One is that real men don't need to talk about feelings. Now, whoa, that is a myth, and that is dangerous. Yes, because you're holding that stuff on the inside. There is research now that is showing that cancer and other medical diseases, some are being caused by holding on to these emotions, these things, the anger, the pain on the inside. And as men, we go through a lot of painful things, but there seems to be no place for us to go to talk about the pain that we're in. But that kills relationships because as men, we don't sit down and talk to our wives about what we're feeling. We hold it in. We hold it in until we have the heart attack, and then we're talking about everything then. I shouldn't be laughing, but I'm just talking about it's tragically funny how sometimes men only wait till then. And very often men are only waiting to them because they don't know how. And we're gonna show you exactly what to do, what to say in this seminar, this webinar, right? Or another myth is she should just know what I want. Right? She should observe me if she was paying attention. But guess what, brothers? Are you ready for this? Yes, your queen, our wives, they are saying the same thing, and it's wrong. They're saying he should know what I want from observing me. And now we're saying on the other side, she should know what I want. Now, listen. There is something to observing and knowing what your husband or wife wants, right? It's something of knowing, observing that. But guess what? You are not in their head. If you learn how to communicate, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to sit down and dialogue. How do you do it, right? And then another myth is that if we talk about sex, it's going to ruin the mood. Well, guess what? The best sex is greater than the mood. And most of the time, when men are thinking like that, they're considering sex only intercourse and not the entirety of their life with their wife. You got it? Yes. So the reality is strong men communicate, period. Strong men communicate. If you're taking notes, man, I would write that down. Strong men. You have to have mental toughness in order to really communicate. And I'll share that in another webinar. But let's keep moving on. You with me? So now, here are some of the things. The number one thing that kills, man, with communication and kills relationships, man. Number one right here. We're going to give it to you. The silent treatment, man. Oh, whoa. What does Gottman call it? John Gottman in their therapy practice calls it theory calls it stonewalling. You have the frustration, you get frustrated, and then you're silent, then you put distance, less intimacy. And then what does that do? More frustration. And you got this silence, man, silence going on. And it shows up in marriage relationships, man. Yeah, you can be talking. The mailman comes ring the door. You talk to the mailman. Hey, how you doing? The neighbor comes back. Hey, how you doing? But with your wife, man, she's getting a silent treatment. You're not talking to her about anything. You're walking past her in the kitchen, right? I'm sorry, but you're walking past her in the bedroom, sleeping together, not talking, man. You have to put in a lot of effort not to talk. Frustration, man, that is a killer of relationships, man. Yeah, it kills desire. And what does it cause? Cost emotional and physical disconnection. Now you're feeling sad. Now you're feeling lonely. Now you're feeling tired. Now you're feeling upset because here you're married, you were enjoying it, and now look at what you're going through, right? So think about it for a moment. Think about your last argument. And I know it's a webinar, man. You're saying, if Bill can't look at you, I can't watch you. Some people call me Bill, right? They say Bill can't watch me. I'm watching this, so he can't tell whether I'm doing the assignments or not. Stop and think about it for a moment because I want this to have an impact on you. I'm laying it out. Think about it. Think about your last argument. How long did you go without really talking? Right? What is the longest you've ever gone? Okay. Yeah. You could have gone on and on and on and on. 3 days, 7 days. Some people go on until something else happens and then it breaks them out of it. Some kind of routine comes along. But that is a relationship killer. Brothers, we're going to talk. And by the way, help is available. Yes, I'll be able to provide additional support for you, man, to help you and show you some other things because this is just the beginning. But if you want some other strategies, I'll be able to help you. And we'll talk about that as we move through this, okay? Module number 2. Let's get some techniques that you can get going right now. You can put them into practice today. Very clear techniques. Number 1, this is a 5-minute technique. It is a daily connection technique. You got it? 5 minutes. Everybody got 5 minutes, man, right? Yes, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. You're going to check in, and here's how you do it. You're going to check in and talk about, hey, one thing you appreciated about today. Just going to share for 5 minutes. You're checking in with your lady, checking in with your queen. Hey, one thing you're looking forward to today. Hey, babe, what are you looking forward to? You got it? And how are we as a couple right now? Now, that one might take a little more than 5 minutes if you've been messing up, right? The relationship is rocky, but don't worry. These questions right here, technique number one, 5-minute method. Hey, what's one thing you appreciated about today? She might say, hey, I appreciated this outfit, or I may appreciate something I heard or saw. Whatever it is, you pause and you listen, you focus, eyeball, right? Ears. Are you there? And then what is one thing you're looking forward to? You're listening, you're focused. And how are we as a couple right now? You're focused to that, right? Why it works. It creates consistent emotional, because you're dealing with emotions. You're pulling the thing out, man. You get into it, right? How are we as a couple? Let's keep rolling. Got a lot of content laying on you, man. That works. Technique number two. It's a vulnerability bridge. Okay. So here it is. And you're going to do some statements right along the way. So the other one, you have three things you can say. You can do it. You can do it. You got it? You remember the water boy? Okay, let me stay focused. So you can say, I've been thinking about so and so. What I really want you to know is da da da. It would mean a lot to me if. So here's a bridge. How do you get across the bridge? One, I've been thinking about whatever the topic is. What I really want you to know, again, whatever the topic is, and then it would mean a lot to me if. So let's look at the example. Babe, here we are at the bottom of the page, bottom of the slide. Babe, I've been thinking about us. Ah, her ears are going to go up, right? Well, they're not going to go up, but she's on the list because your ears are going. Okay, stay with me. So what I really want you to know is that I miss the way we used to connect. It would mean a lot to me if we could spend 10 minutes tonight just talking. You got it? So you spent the vulnerability, you shared, you opened the door. I've been thinking about us. What I really want you to know is I miss the way we used to connect. It would mean a lot to me if we could spend 10 minutes tonight talking. Now, number three, the desire. Here's the setup. I want to talk about something important to both of us. Oh, man. Is she going to be listening? Ooh, for sure, for sure. Framework. Appreciate first, right? Like a sandwich. Appreciate first. I love that we da 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 da, right? And you want to share your desire. Something I love to explore with you is da 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 da. And then the bottom of the sandwich, you invite her in to collaborate with you. What are your thoughts on that? Do you see it? So technique number one, you have technique number two, you have the bridge. Technique number three, the desire. So I love that we enjoy traveling. For instance, it's just an example. And something I love to explore with you is maybe traveling to Alaska. And then you're inviting her in. What are your thoughts on that? Wow, you got three techniques you can put to work right now. And man, your wife is gonna, her eyes are gonna be looking, saying, wow, where's this brother coming up with this stuff, man? You will start seeing the effects of you doing this right now. And then you practice saying, yes, I want to talk about something important to both of us. And I want you to practice saying it with confidence. Yeah, and you see my note that said go. Yeah, practice it. Get in the mirror. That's a secret. Get in the mirror if you're worried, right? I hear you're not worried. You can handle anything. But I want to talk about something important to us. Be able to say it with confidence. That would get her attention. And then the sandwich, I appreciate, I love that. Desire in the middle. And then you invite her in. Now, these techniques work. But again, they're just the beginning. If you want the complete system I use, stay tuned for how we can work together. But I'm giving you some techniques, man, and they work. If you want the complete one, just stay tuned. I'm gonna give you a number, a way to get in touch with me, and we could really go from there. Now, let's go to the next one, right? Because we're dealing the bedroom issues. Now, Here, how to break sexual silence, the cost of sexual silence. So sometimes there are assumptions that lead to disappointment, right? So you could be assuming she's feeling a certain way. You could be assuming that she's responding a certain way because of maybe she has a headache. Maybe she's worried about something. Maybe she's worried that you are not approaching her more. Maybe she's worried about your health or whatever, right? So don't assume, get involved in talking about what's going on. And then unmet needs create resentment, right? So her needs are not getting met, yours are not getting met, and now you're wondering and you're looking at each other cross-eyed. You do not want to go into silence and stop talking about the elephant in the room. That's always a funny statement to me. People talking about, well, the obvious elephant in the room. I have not been in a room with an elephant. I just have not. I've seen him at the zoo, but that would be something to bring an elephant up in the room. But if you're being silent and there's tension in the air, there's some techniques you can use to start talking about it, to bridge the gap, right? And of course, other strategies I can share with you beyond this, but you have some strategies to get started. So the mindset is communication is foreplay. So very often men are looking at sex as only intercourse, leaving out the foreplay, leaving out the things outside the bedroom, right? Leaving out how you respond and deal with stuff around the house and how you listen and care and all those other kind of things. I remember one of my clients said that the thing that got her the most turned on about her husband was when he would come home and sit down on the floor with the kids and play with the kids. And he was like, wow, really? Bring me the kids right now. No, but really, he would play with the kids, man. And they shared that and understood that. And so, man, when he came home from work, guess what? He'd say hello to the wife and bring the kids, right? Okay, let's move on. So here's some of the things. So now this pattern is what we call before, during, and after, right? So before, I'm excited to connect with you tonight. You see how you're sharing that before? Oh, I'm looking forward to it. You're building excitement. During, I love you when. What feels good? You're talking to her about what feels good to her. And then after, that was amazing when you did this, or next time I'd love to try that. You see, communication. Brothers wondering what to do, what can they do? Now, of course, in the movies, right? What do all the men do right after sex, man? Either they put the woman out or they got out or they turned over and went to sleep or whatever, right? But we're saying before there's communication, here's things you can say, right? During, here are things that you can say. After, here are things you can say that's going to improve the relationship. Communication, man, makes for better sex, makes for better intimacy. You can express your desires without pressure. So here's the formula. I've been thinking about da 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 da. Us hanging out some more, us spending some time together. I just been thinking about it, building anticipation. I've been thinking about us, going away on a trip, just a romantic getaway. You see, building anticipation. Would you be open to da 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 da? Respecting choice, very important. No pressure, just sharing what's on my mind. Now, brothers, you got to be clear about that. When there's no pressure, there's no pressure. No must be an option, right? But you got the dialogue on, you got the discussion going, you have the interest building. And that's a good thing to have. And then you have the common scenario solution. So, what happens when she's not in the mood? When she's not in the mood, that's okay, right? Talk. You can still cuddle. You can still hold hands. You can still be romantic. You don't have to force anything. You can find out what's going on, right? Maybe she is in pain physically, right? Maybe something is disturbing her at work or with the kids or whatever. So don't rush in always to take and to get something. We would say, I'm gonna get me some, right? No, when she's not in the mood, be considerate. What about when you want to try something new? Maybe you're always in the evening when you're having sex, or you're always with the lights off when you're having sex, or you're always in the bed when you're having sex. Maybe you want to try something new. You can discuss that with it. It can be a conversation about what may or may not work. And when something isn't working, stop and talk about it. That builds intimacy. Yes, it builds intimacy. You talk about it. You share what's in your heart. You share what you're feeling. It builds intimacy. Now, by the way, let me give you a warning that couples need to hear. Porn ruins intimacy. Oh, that's right, because you got actors on the screen doing whatever they're doing. You have a flat screen stimulating you when you have a living person there that cannot be and do what is happening on the flat screen and all that kind of stuff going on. It messes with your mind, messes with your responses, right? And can actually cut off your sexual abilities as a man, cut off the connections. So I know there are some people say, oh, you need spice of life. No, you need to be better connected with each other, learn each other better. And matter of fact, one of the things we do from a therapeutic standpoint, again, this is not therapy, is to teach couples to not rush to intercourse, but to spend time together and enjoy the skin, enjoy touching and holding and those kind of things to build naturally in a way that porn is not even needed. You got that? And by the way, if you want to learn the advanced techniques I teach my private clients how to navigate these difficult discussions, I'll show you how to get that support just in a few minutes. Stay with me in a few more minutes. We're moving right through the material. Module number four. Now, let me give you a 30-day action plan. So we went through communication things that we can do. We went through discussions, right? Urging you to talk more. Let me give you a 30-day action plan. And I want you to just follow this, man. My brother, listen, 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 listen. This is going to work. It's going to revolutionize your marriage. It's going to revolutionize your relationship. And the reason I'm urging this, I know for a fact, it's going to add to your life. It's going to add to your joy and your satisfaction, sense of self, right? And the connection. So week number one, I want you to really implement, just focus on the daily check-ins, doing that 5-minute check-in, right? You focus on, make sure you got it going, man. Make sure you got it. Boom, boom, boom. Every day you're hitting it. Yes, and on the weekends, you got it. Yeah, even if you're making breakfast in bed. Well, don't make the breakfast in bed, but even if you're serving breakfast in bed. Well, I saw one couple, and was it one of these 90-day shows? The guy was making breakfast in bed. His wife was like, "Oh, we're gonna burn down the house and stuff." Anyway, yeah. But if you're having breakfast in bed, make sure you implement the daily check-in. So you focus on that, man. Right? Then you practice one vulnerability statement per day. Something that you are a little anxious about talking about. You know, you start bringing it up. Right? At least once a day, you're practicing it. And then you want to focus on the emotional connection, the understanding. What is my wife going through? What is her day like? What are the things that she's dealing with, right? That's week number one. That's where you're focusing, you're building strength. Week number two, you want to deepen the connection. You want to use the desire conversation a little more, at least once you're bringing that in, right? You want to practice appreciation. Make sure you're appreciating. See, no, don't just focus on the stuff you ask for. Notice the things that your wife is doing, right? You didn't ask her to do, but she normally and naturally is doing, right? The normal, natural things. Make sure you're noticing those, and then focus on building trust. And how do you build trust? Being consistent, being a man of your word, following through, fulfilling your promises, those kind of things, right? Week number one, you got it. Week number two, and then in your sexual communication, you want to continue. what you're doing in week number one, continue what you're doing in week number two, you're building, and then have at least one before, during, and after kind of conversation, right? Yeah, not just jumping up, going out of the room or just falling asleep. Man, have an after conversation. Do some cuddling. Spend more time with each other that way. And then express one desire using a formula and just continue to build intimacy. And intimacy, remember, not necessarily intercourse, it's that emotional connection that you all have with each other. You're understanding her and she is understanding you. And then number four, week number four, you got your 30 days mapped out. Week number four, address one or more ongoing issues using the new skills. So there's something that you guys are having difficulty talking about. Okay, let me look at one of these skills and begin to use that skill in talking about this problem. And then you can plan your next level of growth, right? Yeah, because remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg, man. You can really grow in this and build a loving and lasting union and think about sustainable habits where you develop, man, you got it going. There's a consistency, there's a desire, there is the persistence, there is the example. And if you have children, they're looking and it's looking at, man, look how dad is modeling what manhood is about. The neighbors are watching. I mean, the community is being affected by what you're doing. Yes. Oh, yes. People are watching you. You don't know who they're watching you and how you're relating to your wife. And then your personal commitment statement. I'm going to ask you to read it out loud to yourself. I'm going to read it here and now, but I want you to read this out loud to yourself and make the commitment. See, what's going to change is what changes with behavior, right? I commit to having better conversations because my relationship deserves my best efforts. I will practice these skills for the next 30 days and track my progress. Did you say that, my brother? Did you say it? Commit to it. 30 days. You have the outline. Each week, you have the outline. Boom, you can go to that. Boom, you can go to that. Boom, you can go to that. And then the fourth week, and then you commit to that and track your progress. So here are the conclusions. Key takeaways. Communication is intimacy. They're not two separate things. This is why a lot of people get fooled at nightclubs and at the bar because you're leaning in to each other because you're in a tight, closed space, right? And then the lights are dim, so you can hardly see. You're looking right close, and then the music is loud. You got to lean in to talk, right? Yeah, you're communicating in such a close, intimate environment. You start to think she's the one in all that dark, and then you get out and like, whoa, what did I do? Anyway, let's stay on track. So communication is intimacy. The better you communicate, the more you communicate what's really going on, the more considerate you are in communication, it makes a difference, right? And then daily actions, small actions cause big changes over time. Man, as a behavior analyst, parents and other people are always amazed at the behavior changes we could get out of their children because we would start with something small. I would personally only aim at maybe a 10%, 1 to 10% change in behavior at a time. They're like, 1 to 10%, we need Johnny to do this and Johnny to do that. Well, we start with a little bit because I know from a behavioral standpoint, little changes every day create bigger changes and they connect to other things. And before you know it, you're at 80% change in behavior, but you started small. All right. And then vulnerability is strength. Man, you're not weak when you share your challenges with your wife. You're not weak. Actually, it takes a strong man to do that. Now, this one I want you to hear as well. Practice makes progress. It doesn't make perfection. So even though I'm sharing this with you, of stuff I've learned, and I got more techniques and strategies, man, that I'd love to share more with you. But listen, I'm not perfect in this. I'm working on this along with you. You follow? Practicing makes progress. I may be ahead of you, I may be behind you, but we're working on it. We're not aiming at perfection. We're aiming at progress. Do you see it? So if you don't get everything done properly in week number 1, 2, or 3, if you don't get the technique exactly right, man, keep going in the right direction, right? Practice makes progress. Now, what we covered today is powerful. Oh, yes, it is. But as I said earlier, this is just the tip of the iceberg. In my private coaching practice, I work with men who are ready to completely transform their relationships, not just improve them, but revolutionize them, right? Where you could have the relationship of your dreams, right? So if you're serious, listen, about becoming the husband she brags about to her friends, and you sitting over there knowing, yeah, she's talking about me. I got it going on like that. If you're serious about creating the kind of intimacy that makes other couples jealous, if you are serious about building unshakable confidence in every area of your relationship, then I invite you to book a complimentary 30-minute relationship breakthrough call with me. Yes, I invite you to do that. That is my gift to you, because in this call, we're going to figure out what is blocking your relationship success. We'll do an assessment and figure that out. And then create a personalized roadmap for your relationship transformation, right? And then we'll also determine if my private coaching program is right for you. It's not right for everybody, right? But it may be right for you. It won't be a sales call, it will be a strategy session. It's my gift to you for you investing your time in listening to this and going through the entire webinar. I really appreciate that. So if you would text breakthrough to 662-305-6655, or you could visit my Facebook page, right? And then put the information in there, breakthrough, right? DM me right through there and claim your spot. And man, we'll set up a time where we could talk and have our strategy session, and you'll see a major difference happen in your relationship. So the spots are limited, right? Because I'm going to personally conduct the call. I don't have time to just throw away to anybody, right? I shouldn't say it like that, throw away to anybody. I don't have time to throw away, right? So your relationship transformation starts with this conversation, right? Remember, great relationships don't happen by accident. They happen by intention. And we want you to do what? Take action today. So what are you going to do? Text breakthrough to 662-305-6655 or to my Facebook page. The link is right there. And you're going to claim your spot as we go from there, right? Man, I want to thank you so much for being with me today and for listening and walking through this webinar. Very important. Better talk, better sex. Better talk, better relationships. There are conversational skills you can learn and have a positive and powerful effect in your life. Again, William Dawson, licensed marriage and family therapist with Dawson's Way, coaching and consulting. I'm looking forward to hearing from you, and consider it an honor that you are listening to and walk through this webinar. My gift to you is that when you call and text the words breakthrough, or message me on Facebook, I'm going to sit with you and we'll figure out what's going on and see if I can add to your relationship and be of more support to you. Okay. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a great day.